to start the morning off great with a little cup of joe. Hello. Yeah, you know, the PA announcer is kind of your alarm clock. You know, Trans Am's the Pro Series, so we usually don't run until 10, 11 o'clock first thing. That's our first session of the morning. So when you hear the PA, it's like, oh, must be 8 o'clock, time to really get going. And, you know, the guys are already working on the car. They get here at 7. And so it's time to kind of button everything up and get ready for your day. And so when you hear the PA, it's time to put the coffee on.
This is a very strong field of road racers here.
I want my results to be racing for a podium every race, fighting for wins, and win a championship.
I want to lead every session, every race, every lap.
We can go get these guys.
I think the big thing we're going to debate is the starting pressures.
Yeah.
And it's not really a debate, but it's just, I think that's going to be the balance shift. You know, racing is one of these things where you're in the moment, and right now the moment is a new season. So we're reset.
It's driving me off. I tried to do as much as I could manage, pulling it back. We've had a winning combination with this team. We've won 2 championships. We're usually in the top 5 most of the time, and so I think we're still a contender.
Yeah, you know, coming out here to this weekend, was just looking forward to racing my old Trans Am car again in the SVRA Group 10. Was having fun with that, and then the guys from ECC came by and asked if I wanted to hop in their new, freshly built TA car, and I don't think anybody would turn down that opportunity.
I drove an Indy car one time, and you just can't get the thing out of shape. A stock car is totally opposite. You're out of shape the entire 500 miles. And this is a good in between, closer to a stock car where you're sawing at the wheel and you can slide the car around a little bit, but it's got all the power, it's got lots of mechanical, and it's got that little bit of aero to make for good racing.
It's really been my love. I started it, I think my first Trans Am race was probably 83 or 84, and I just love driving these cars. They're just really, really a blast.
I love taking the bull by the horns. I really do. I love having that opportunity, and for me, you know, you got to put in those big efforts, and you got to, not only for the men and women that work so hard on these cars and put in the countless hours before you get to the racetrack, but also for the eyeballs that are on you, you know, because the race fans, we want to entertain you. This is what we're here for. And I eat that up. I want to be part of that entertainment value. So yeah, I love to get in and show that they made the right decision, that I was not a bad phone call to make.
I mean, everybody wants to start a new season with a win, and these races are still really meaningful, and it's always a fight to see who's going to be the best of the best.
The burning and the passion to be the first every session is in all of us. If you don't have that, you shouldn't be here.
Either things go through the roof and, you know, beyond everybody's expectations and huge successes, and people look back and like, how in the world did you do that? And right now he's definitely on that trajectory. But there's also that huge, embarrassing, miserable failure potential and going out in a huge blaze of glory.
When I started our program last year, I thought we could run a TA2 program in conjunction with the TA program. You know, now I understand why teams don't do that.
We had a roller coaster of a year last year and it didn't end.
So the team went up for sale.
He says, hey, Tommy, I'm out. And I said, what? You know, I'm like thinking, oh my, you know, Of course, I'm thinking selfishly about myself. I need a ride.
So it was mass panic for a little bit.
And really quickly, we didn't know if we had a race team at all. So that was a little stressful going into Christmas, not knowing if you're going to come back and the race team still be there, have a job or anything like that.
You know, Dreesy Motorsports acquired the assets and and kept all the folks. And it was really important to try to keep this whole team together. And I talked him into staying on as team principal.
He really helped out and, you know, saved the team, which is great. You know, I did not want to have to take cars off the grid of Trans Am.
Road to Glory is brought to you by Franklin Road Apparel.
That track has put Sebring on the map. It's an internationally known and actually probably better known, Sebring's better known in Europe than they are in the United States. You can hear the noise almost every day. They're running almost every day, so when the race is on, it's 12 hours of noise. But it does bring a lot of people here, and it's an attraction.
He's got his own business to run that he's got to deal with, but man, he stops for racing, and he is so excited. I think now as a team owner and being reunited with us again, he knows the potential, and he's more amped up now than normal.
Like right now, I'm trying to be calm. I think I'm being calm.
Tommy is a energy drink. He's Tommy in a can.
You want that? You want me to beat that? Because I could. I'm a live wire.
Put it on the line, I'ma risk it all. My feet on fire, on my fists I go. Orders on my mind is where I wish to go. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3.
P2. Everything. Throttle off, throttle, push, throttle, everything. Push.
That's Tommy every day. You know, you never want to give him that energy drink. I mean, he's amped up all the time.
Copy that. Remember, Tommy, go out there and give us 3-5 laps. Don't talk, then we'll talk about it. Just like get the best you can out of what we got.
It's really weird because a lot of people just think the word championship and the end result. But to win a championship, and I've done that before, the whole story, the everyday mental thinking, the physicality, taking care of yourself, trying to take care of all your other side of your life that you got going, but for everything to work together and to be consistent. And I think that goes with anything in life. You know, sure, you could be successful in life. They might not call it a championship, but anything you do, a friendship, raising your kids, a business. If you can be in something for a long time, it's because you've done things consistently. And sometimes everything goes right. The accumulation of all those things you do, you can become a champion. I mean, that's everything.
Yeah, Chris Dyson, he's won these championships, and you know what? He hasn't been sitting on his laurels. He's been testing here at Sebring. He tested at NOLA. He's been putting in the miles and the work.
That's probably one of the biggest tricks of racing, is to just keep the big picture in mind. You guys like where the bias came in at the end of that last run?
Yeah, I think
okay.
It's good.
Okay.
Yeah, it gives you that little bit of security so you're not in the win situation.
Yeah.
Trying to...
Well, I don't want to go down and just, big
handbrake.
wheel handbrake it.
Right.
We've got Ernie Francis coming back, hasn't been in the series for a few years. Tommy Dreesy's just moved into team ownership. He wants to make a good impression. Paul Menard's back with us. Boris is here. Wally Dallenbach, a new car. Obviously, Amy Ruman.
There's a whole lot of talk about female drivers and minority drivers coming up through the ranks and race series wanting to run them. But you know what? Amy Ruman's been here for a long time. She doesn't need a free pass. She doesn't need any help. She's just fast. I raced with her. She races clean. She races hard.
I think for us this year, we didn't do any off-season testing. A lot of other people did. So I haven't been in the car since September of last year, so I got to dust the rust off and make sure everything's going well. We want to be quick right off the trailer. Now the season's rolling, it'll change a little, but for the first race, it's always a little unnerving, especially if you didn't do any testing. I was running too flat out there, 201, and then, you know, even with the problem, but I'd give it all up at 16. You know, so far everything's been okay. A couple minor glitches, you know, a little throttle stick here and there. But we got that handled. I definitely think in qualifying we could, as long as the throttle problem is better, I think overall setup is good. We're running some decent times this weekend, so I think we'll be okay.
I want it to be close. When I found out that the top 4 were separated by under half a second, I thought that was pretty cool. You know, top 4 cars all in the 158s around Sebring is, you know, really fast for what these cars are. For no driver aids, for how these cars are running, I mean, it's pretty quick times around here. The whole field seemed to have stepped up their game a lot over the past 2 years, so it's impressive to see, and it's cool to come back and still be on top.
I mean, these guys, I look around, I look up and down the grid. I mean, these are all guys that I'm not only friends with, but, you know, if you look at the history of the sport, you know, there's some all-time great drivers in the field tomorrow. And I think any chance you can have to take a green flag against that kind of a quality field, guys, people that you know you can race side by side with, and it's may the best man win, and you know, that's a thrill.
You have Lolly behind you. I think they're having severe forward drive issues, so just be careful. So that car might get loose on him if he tries to tuck inside you. Just be aware of that.
At the start of the race, you know, I had my teammate next to me, so I'm going to respect that.
I told him, I says, look, you know, let the race come to you. Get a good start, take off, run as hard as you can, and let's see what happens. There's going to be fireworks up ahead. And boy, was I right.
Ernie Francis Jr. in the Challenger, his first ever chance of racing this car. And Paul Menard in the all-green Mustang on the outside at this point, but it's going to be Ernie Francis Jr. With, oh no! The worst possible position for Dryson, and I'm not quite sure who caused that.
Yeah, Ernie is out, big one.
And then I saw a lot of smoke and stuff going on, and I just barely missed Chris.
Ernie got a great start on Paul, but Paul was pretty aggressive around the outside. And he probably could have just Ernie probably could have just backed off and got the line squared up and then gone and shut off both our lanes. But he got on the power hard enough to go up to seal Paul off, which is fine. But that left a couple lanes open for me. And I got on the power, and because the pressures were low, the car took a little bit more bump, and it got a little wriggle, which I was in the process of catching. And unfortunately, I think Ernie realized I was getting a good run, and he started to come down. And I think that accident's probably different if he's not coming down to defend, but we're racing, right? And I'm in the middle of correcting something. I mean, it's hard to undo that chain of events sometimes.
From what it looked like, Dyson got next to him and got loose and just kind of lost the back of the car and then chased the front end up and just got inside of us and wiped us out.
Man, the race was crazy. It was obviously what happened on the first turn between Chris and Ernie cleared the way for us. So then I was kind of in cruise mode for the first half of the race.
Anytime you can capitalize on somebody else's misfortune, it makes your job easier. It makes the driver's job easier. It's 2 less cars he has to try to pass or work up to try to get to. Sometimes in racing, you'd rather be lucky than good.
When I started seeing dirt and smoke and everything, I backed way out of it, hoping that I wasn't going to get it run into, and I didn't want to run into anybody. I saw it all happening. I didn't see how it happened, but I was just glad I wasn't a part of it.
Yeah, he just got a brand new car, didn't turn a wheel, and that thing was going pretty good. he's a champion, you know. You don't forget how to drive, so he was on me. I just stayed cool, collected, you know. It was early in the race, but he was really pushing. The first part of the race, I'm like, hey, man, you know, I think I've got a podium here.
First time I ever sat in this car was Thursday. They were basically, we were completing the car right up until the day that they, you know, rolled it into the trailer to come here.
Paul Menard first, Adam Andretti second, Keith in third, Tommy inches by Amy, and now Tommy's running fourth. Adam has car problems, you know, almost right away. Uh-oh, Andretti's out.
Oh no! And there I am predicting that this was going to be a huge race for Andretti because he had bad luck yesterday and he's out.
It was definitely a bummer for this top liner Chevrolet Camaro because it was strong and we got a good start to some misfortune of our competitors, but I woke up this morning after the qualifying lap that we had and the feel I had in the car. I woke up this morning that no one was going to beat us on pure pace, and I still believe that.
The green flag waved after the caution. Paul takes off again. Keith takes off again. But lo and behold, behind us, Wally Dallenbach is suddenly fast. Hadn't seen him all weekend.
And then after that caution, Wally just had a hell of a start and got up to second. And I tried to push kind of hard gap on him. Felt like I had a good gap, and then he started closing in. So then, all right, I gotta push this thing a little bit harder than I want right now.
You think of Trans Am, you think Genelo's, you think Kendall, you know, Dallenbach. Paul's I think he's got the most TA1 wins in history. So I've known him for years, but got to know him pretty well these last couple months, and he's an animal. You know, as advertised, he's an animal, and he was texting me at midnight. I was sleeping. I got the text this morning, midnight last night, about the car and stuff.
Road to Glory is brought to you by Franklin Road Apparel.
You know, when the driver's out there, you know, they want to hear somebody, you know, because otherwise it's like they're kind of on a, you know, on the moon by themselves, you know, and, you know, we try to, and every team wants to give their driver as much information as they can use.
I told the team I'm going to back out. Big picture, let's bring it home. P3 is real good. And the 23 car, Amy, you know, she was coming and I just didn't know.
Obviously, somewhere, you know, on the back section of the track, he got tangled up with a lap car, you know, and it held him up. I think Amy was running fourth, and she was allowed to, you know, close the gap. And, you know, she never gives up, you know, so she pounced when the time was right, and it paid off for her.
And she made a move, and if I would have fought her that hard, I think we both would have wound up in the fence somewhere.
You got to stay in the game. You got to be there. If someone makes a mistake, you want to be right there to capitalize on you know, moving up possibly.
The gap down to what, 2 seconds in the end.
Good for Paul Menard.
Well done.
Nice
Paul
job.
Menard wins race 1 of the
Good
season.
job, Wally.
Wally Dallenbach
Awesome.
takes second place. And Amy
podium.
Ruben takes the podium.
Wow, what a race.
At the end of the race, I was out of tires. You know, it was a struggle to run a 2:01, a 2-minute 1 lap, and Wally was clicking them off pretty good. Just got to get the car a little bit different to suit my style. I adapted to the car this weekend, and I could make it work, but I think overall, for some of these longer races, especially when we get summertime heat.
Woo! The last lap is the only lap that counts.
Way to hang tough.
Got to be there at the end. We had just enough for the end. Not much, but enough. It was a fun last lap for sure. You know, we just had enough to get by Tommy at the end and gain that podium spot.
Like I tried making moves on Dreesy 3 or 4 times. As soon as I get behind him, the whole front of the car would come up.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to figure something else out because I'm not gonna be able to outbrake them and pull around them.
Took the arrow off the car?
Just lifted the front of the car, and I mean, like, no steering whatsoever. For our first race with a brand new race car at Sebring, which is the roughest place you can go to, I'm really, really happy with these results.
We had third place in the bag. I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned here, and they're all basic, fundamental racing lessons.
Somebody's 10 seconds behind, now they're 5 seconds behind, and then I say, hey, big picture, I'm just gonna bring it home to the podium. That would have been a great podium. That's embarrassing.
We can blame each other all we want, but at the end of the day, the driver is gonna make a mistake. The team is gonna make a mistake somewhere down the road. We're all human. So, but unfortunately, we're so competitive by nature on this that it's like, if we finish third or finish second, we'd still be upset. Unless you win the race, you're not, and if you're not upset by not winning, you're not that competitive.
And that was a lot of work. The worst position is fourth place. You fight your butt off all day for fourth place, just get in the trailer, drink some water, you gotta go home.
I don't care who you are. If you're mad, you don't have that argument, you don't, stay away. Don't talk. That was my decision at the end of the race. I treasure my friendship with Tommy far more than a race car. So I chose to not be around there at the end, to say something I would have regretted and for him to say something he would have regretted. All is good.
Never back off until the checkered flag. You run as hard as you can all the way to the end. No backing off. We learned just dearly on what that costs you if you do that.
I'm pretty upset, but at the same time, this is the first race, new team, Dreesy Motorsports. Lacey, Jagger, and Elin, I love you, and I'm coming home. But we raced our butts off, and that was great Trans Am racing, and I hope it was a great show for everyone. There's an old saying, whoever recovers the fastest wins.